Good evening, good evening, good evening, and good evening once again. Pebbles here, founder of Missing, Lost, and Trafficked. My apologies. I apologize to all of you for my untimeliness. I scheduled this live stream for 6:45 p.m. Central Standard Time, 7:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or whatever time it is wherever you are in the world. And I'm a few minutes late, so it is now 6:53 p.m. Central Standard Time, 7:53 Eastern Standard Time, and whatever time it is wherever you are in the world. And so I thank you so very, 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 very much for taking the time out to join this live stream today. Um, uh, you are so welcome to leave a comment pertaining to Naomi Iron. Okay. So I want you to leave a comment regarding the disappearance of Naomi Iron. Any questions you have, I will try my very best to answer those questions. Now, what I can't tolerate during this live stream or at the conclusion of this live stream are individuals joining this live stream, leaving comments to either troll this Facebook channel, excuse me, YouTube channel. I'm so used to Facebook. Troll this YouTube channel, troll myself, leaving insulting remarks regarding other things you don't like about me that has absolutely nothing at all to do with my reporting, and any other comment I deem as being offensive in nature. I do accept and adhere and review constructive criticism, right? So, yeah, you're welcome to leave a comment. But before you leave that comment, I want you to be thoughtful. Be very thoughtful in terms of, what comment you're leaving and what your intended goal is, I guess, what you hope to accomplish. And think about whether your comment is really counterproductive in efforts to better understand what happened to Naomi Iron, the 18-year-old abducted at a Walmart in Nevada on March 12th of 2022. So be very mindful before you decide to comment during this live stream or after this live stream. And I so thank you. I thank you very much. Thank you very much for doing that. All right. So I'm going to be discussing the disappearance of Naomi Iron during this live stream. Naomi Iron. What I want to do right now, before I do a deep dive into this discussion, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just check to see what my audio is like. If you can hear me clearly, please let me know in comments that you can hear what I'm saying clear at this time. I love for you to let me know if you can hear. I see that there are 3 people watching. That's cool with me. I believe we'll have other visitors, friends, and, supporters tapping in later during this live stream. Supporters tapping in later during this live stream. Okay, so seems like the audio is working well on my end. If you can hear me clearly, let me know. If you can hear me clearly on your end, meaning wherever you're listening to this live stream from, I would like to know if you can hear the words coming out of my mouth really clear, but I did try to check this out. Now, what I want to do, I want to copy and paste sources, okay? So these are sources, news sources, references, I use to gather information regarding the disappearance of Naomi, okay, Iron. All right. So those sources you can on at your own, pace. Click on the links I will provide in this live stream. I forget this is not Facebook Live. I really do forget that. So forgive me. Looks like I can't copy and paste a bunch of links at one time in a chat. So forgive me. I can only do, it piece by piece. All right. So I have one news source. I'm going to list another news source. I have to do it piece by piece. I'm so accustomed to Facebook. I can copy and paste, an entire paragraph or an essay if I want to in the body of that live stream. But it doesn't really work that way for in the chat for Facebook. They're saying, oops, that's too long. Okay. So I'm just going to end up adding just a few sources, right, into this stream, and then afterwards I will pin an actual comment with all of the sources, if that makes sense. All of the sources that I've used. I want to give you something, something to refer to, okay? While viewing this specific live stream today. So I'm doing that now. All right. Try my best to do that right now. And I've done that. Great, 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 great. If you're here and you're watching, I'd love to know who you are or where you are in the world. Let me know who you are in comments. I do appreciate that very, 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 very much. Okay? So, I am reading some information posted to the FBI website. That's www.fbi.gov regarding the disappearance of Naomi Christine Iron. Naomi Christine Iron was last seen on March 12, 2022 in Fernley, Nevada. Okay? In Fernley, Nevada. Her date of birth is July 25th of 2003. She is currently 18 years of age. Naomi has naturally brown hair, but her hair was dyed black. Naomi has green eyes, one with brown in it. Naomi is 5'11". Naomi weighs 230 to approximately 250 pounds. Naomi is a female. Her race is listed as being white. I want to talk about scars and marks. Naomi has a septum piercing, okay, and a smile face tattoo on her right ankle. Naomi was last seen wearing a blue Panasonic company shirt, a gray sweater, gray pants, brown boots. She was carrying a black purse. Naomi's iPhone is either a 10 or 11, and the FBI has stated on its site, the iPhone 10 or 11 has yet to be found. Naomi Christian Iron was last seen in the Walmart parking lot in Fernley, Nevada on March 12th of 2022 at approximately 5 a.m. when she was abducted by a nondescribed male who entered the driver's seat of her vehicle. 3 days later, Naomi's vehicle was located next to the Sherwin-Williams Western Emulsion plant. Naomi has not been located. If you have any information concerning Naomi Iron, you're being encouraged to please contact your local FBI office or the nearest American embassy. Okay, this report on Naomi Iron's disappearance is coming out of an FBI field office in Las Vegas, Nevada. At the end of the actual, details given on Ms. Naomi's disappearance, there is a link provided, whereas individuals can submit an anonymous tip online. And I think that is absolutely awesome. Absolutely awesome that they've done that. So I want to go over some details here, okay, that I believe that, we should all be, thinking about, right, as we all try to figure out really what has happened to Naomi, where Naomi was possibly taken. On Friday, it's important that you know that's Friday of this week, the week we're in right now. Today's Saturday. So yesterday, a male was arrested. His name, I want to give his entire name, is Troy Edward Driver. Troy Edward Driver. 41-year-old Troy Edward Driver. That's TroyEdwardDriver. He was arrested and taken into custody yesterday, which was Friday, as a suspect in connection with Naomi's kidnapping or abduction, according to the Lyons County Sheriff Office. Keep in mind, Naomi was abducted, captured on surveillance footage being abducted on March 12th of 2022, and on yesterday, Troy Driver, 41-year-old Troy Driver, was arrested in connection with her kidnapping or abduction. Naomi Iron is 18 years of age. It's important that you know that Naomi was abducted from a Walmart parking lot in Fernley, Nevada on March 12th of 2022 at 5 a.m. or about 5 a.m. during the 5 o'clock hour. Naomi's vehicle, a four-door sedan, was located March 15th, 2 days after she was reported missing. Evidence found in her abandoned vehicle suggested her disappearance was criminal in nature, Fox News reported. I want to talk a little bit about the distance between where Mr. Driver is a resident of, right, He was listed as being a resident of Fallon, Nevada, right? And where the abduction took place. Troy Driver was listed or reported as being out of a resident of, I don't know if he's a current resident or previous resident of Fallon, Nevada. Naomi was captured on surveillance footage being kidnapped from a Walmart in Fallon, Nevada. It's important you know that Fallon, Nevada is 31 minutes or 28 miles away from Fernley, Nevada. Fallon, Nevada is 31 minutes or 28 miles away from Fernley, Nevada. Now I want to talk a little bit about Naomi's parents. Naomi's parents were in South Africa the day Naomi was abducted. They traveled to Nevada to assist with the search for their daughter. The Irons have lived in a number of foreign countries, including Germany and Russia. So you should know that Naomi's parents actually live in South Africa. However, when they learned Naomi had been abducted, they traveled, both of her parents, from South Africa to the United States to assist in searching for their daughter. So that's just another piece of information you should know about Naomi's parents. I don't want to, go into a lot of details about their background. And, I just found that to be interesting. I want to talk a little bit about what's uncertain, what we don't know at this time. What we don't know at this time. It's uncertain or unclear if Mr. Driver, and that is the 41-year-old male arrested on kidnapping charges, has retained an attorney at this time. It's also uncertain if Driver, is the man identified in the security camera footage Crime Online reported. Police had previously, described a Chevrolet pickup truck they said was believed to have a direct connection with the case. And authorities on Friday, yesterday, impounded that pickup truck. There's something else that's very uncertain. We, the public, journalists, we're not, we don't have that information at this time. It's uncertain where Naomi Iron has been taken. Although a suspect has been arrested, one person, one male, in connection with her disappearance, it's uncertain at this time, ladies and gentlemen, uncertain where Naomi Iron is, 18-year-old Naomi Iron, where she is, where she has been taken or transported. This may seem redundant, right? Some information I will be restating again, but it actually leads into other bits of information, details I have not previously stated, so I'm going to continue. Now I want to, go more in detail with discussing circumstances regarding Naomi's disappearance and abduction from a Walmart in Fernley, Nevada, in the 5 o'clock hour on March 12th of 2022. And those details are as follows. Naomi Iron was last seen on surveillance footage alive. That's important you know that. Naomi Iron was last seen on surveillance footage alive, okay? In a Walmart parking lot located in Fernley, Nevada, just after 5 a.m., sitting in the driver's seat of her parked car. The missing woman is believed to have been waiting for a shuttle to take her to work at a nearby Panasonic factory where she was employed in the battery manufacturing department, Law and Crime reported. A man wearing a gray hoodie, jeans, and a mask can be seen circling the parking lot before getting inside Naomi's vehicle. The car then drives off with missing woman and alleged kidnapper. I want to talk a little bit about, miles and distances. I try to, in most cases I report on regarding a missing person, I try to map out, distances and locations, right? And I do that for a number of reasons. It's important that you know that the Walmart Supercenter in Fernley, Nevada, where Naomi was last seen and abducted, is 38 minutes or 38 miles away from the Panasonic Energy Factory in Reno, Nevada, where Naomi actually works. Again, I'll restate, it's important you know the Walmart Supercenter in Fernley, Nevada is 38 minutes or 38 miles away from the Panasonic Energy Factory in Reno, Nevada, where Naomi works. Also, you should know that the Panasonic Energy Factory is 1 hour, 4 minutes, or 64 miles away from Fallon, Nevada, where Troy Driver, Naomi's suspected kidnapper, is or was previously a resident of. So I thought that was some information that you should know. Okay. Now I want to give a little information. I don't want to share an entire, life story regarding, Mr. Troy Edward Driver's background, but I want to give you some information about who Mr. Driver is. Mr. Driver is a white male, and as previously stated, he is currently being detained at Lyon County Detention Center. Mr. Driver, according to public records online, his date of birth is April 20th of 1980. Mr. Driver was convicted at the age of 17 in a string of robberies in California after admitting involvement in a murder of a Paul Rodriguez. Now I want to move on and talk a little bit about Mr. Driver's, employment, history of employment. Upon reviewing a deep review and Mr. Driver's LinkedIn, account, I took note of his having listed, various positions, whereas his title is, connected to, his work title is connected to construction. So I noted that Mr. Driver has a history, right? A work history, a construction work history, to be specific. He has listed on his LinkedIn profile that he was a project superintendent from October 2019 until present. Also, from March 2018 to October 2019, according to what's listed on Mr. Driver's LinkedIn, profile, he was a superintendent at Ames Construction for 1 year and 8 months. In addition to this, from June 2012 to March 2018, about 5 years and 10 months, on Mr. Driver's LinkedIn profile, it's listed that Mr. Driver was a safety coordinator at Canyon Construction. I found this to be rather interesting, and so I make note of that. Since Naomi has not been found, she's not been located, there is a national search for Naomi Iron. I thought it would be reasonable to do a little background searching of my own in efforts to figure out where Mr. Driver's family members and associates are currently residing. All right. I believe that, and it's just my belief, you may feel differently, and that's okay. I believe that identifying Mr. Driver's family and associate connections to specific cities and states could help the public and law enforcement with figuring out where Naomi Iron actually is at this time. That is my belief. On a previous case, I listed a number of cities and states an individual could have gone after doing a background, an independent background search on that person. And after I listed those cities and states, someone was watching the live stream. A relative of said individual tipped off the law enforcement out in Texas, and said person was arrested in one of the cities and states I listed or stated on my live stream that individual had connections to at that time. So understanding, right, what connections Mr. Driver has with family members, friends, or associates in various cities or states could definitely, in my experience, in my opinion, on my whatever, assist law enforcement and the public with, paying closer attention, right, to neighbors, actions of other people around them, suspicious things they may have seen, right? Or witness, it would aid the public in law enforcement, I believe, in better figuring out possibly, and it's just possible, we really don't know, where Naomi has been taken. Now, you should know that Mr. Driver was taken into custody at a home off Alcorn Road by Lyon County Sheriff Office just before 5 p.m. on March 25th, 13 days after Naomi disappeared from a Walmart parking lot. While conducting a background check on Mr. Driver today, I made note of various individuals Mr. Driver is connected to, and I made note of where those various individuals are currently located. I noted 3 relatives, immediate relatives of Mr. Driver, live in the following places. Mr. Driver has a 67-year-old relative residing in Silver Springs, Nevada. Mr. Driver has a 79-year-old relative residing in Silver Springs, Nevada. Mr. Driver also has a 76-year-old relative residing in Georgia. In addition to the relatives, I were able to identify their cities and states, their addresses, and I won't be revealing their first, last names and actual address, right? Like streets and numbers and all that during this live stream. I did make note of Mr. Driver's associate connections. I noticed that Mr. Driver has a 67-year-old associate in Echo, Nevada, a 46-year-old associate in Kingston, Idaho, a 38-year-old associate in Silver Springs, Nevada, a 49-year-old associate in Spring Creek, Nevada, a 80-year-old associate in Fallon, Nevada, a 79-year-old associate in Fallon, Nevada, a 93-year-old associate in Fallon, Nevada, an 86-year-old associate, and some of these individuals may actually be family members. They're sometimes listed as associates. An 86-year-old associate in Fallon, Nevada, a 72-year-old associate in Fallon, Nevada, an 83-year-old associate in Fallon, Nevada. Okay. I'm going to conduct other background searches, all right? Several different background searches this evening in attempt to identify possible friends, acquaintances that Mr. Driver speaks to or has spoken to, right? Either on a regular basis or in the past. Please wish me the best of luck as I attempt to try to gather as much information I can possibly gather regarding Mr. Driver's associates, friends, individuals that he has connections with, and I am definitely going to do my very best to find out where all of these individuals are residing. The search I did today, the background check I did today, did put me in a good place, gave me a good starting point, right? I now understand that most of Mr. Driver's relatives, associates are over the age of 50 years of age. They are considered to be senior citizens. Most of Mr. Driver's relatives and associates reside in Nevada. Some of those associates, relatives, reside in Silver Springs, Nevada. I noted that there is one associate located in Kingston, Idaho, and one relative located in the state of Georgia. And again, I will continue the process of conducting a series of background checks in efforts to play my role in assisting Naomi's family, the FBI, the Lyon Sheriff Police Department in Nevada, with better figuring out where Naomi was taken. Okay? If you have any information, meaning you received some sort of phone call from Mr. Driver, Troy Driver, he sent you a text message, there was a conversation had, maybe you could be a neighbor of Mr. Driver and you noticed some odd things, right? You may have noticed him constructing something, making something, right? Of some sort, getting some extra things, for wherever resident he resides in. Whatever tip that may be. Maybe you notice specific bags were being carried by Mr. Driver into a residence or outside of his car, or other material used for some sort of construction, whatever it was that you remember noticing. And I'm speaking to people who would have came in contact with Mr. Driver, days leading up to Naomi's disappearance, the day of Naomi's disappearance, right? And days after her disappearance, all the way up until Mr. Driver's arrest on yesterday. I'd love for you, and you to send a tip. That's really important. Send a tip to missinglostandtrafficked at gmail.com. If you are a relative of this suspect and you like to share some information with me that you have not shared with the police, that you may feel intimidated, you may feel a bit, I want to use the right words, maybe you don't feel comfortable talking directly to the police given the situation, you don't want to be labeled as a suspect, but you are a family member of Mr. Driver, you noticed something, you've seen something, you know about something you feel the police should know. If you are a family member, whoever you are, I don't know who you are. You could be a niece, a nephew, a cousin, a distant relative, a friend of the family. A lot of times they're considered as family members. If you have any information, please submit a tip to missinglostandtrafficked at gmail.com. If you have not already done so, if you've not already submitted that tip to the FBI, if you don't plan on submitting that tip to the FBI, if you are hesitant about speaking directly, if that's you, if you're that person, that's all I'm saying. If you've already submitted tips, pertaining to Naomi's disappearance to police directly, no need to contact me because you've already done that. But if you're that person, you have some information, you don't know what to do with it, you want to get it to the police, but you just don't want to talk to them directly. If you're that, and I speak to people like that all the time, if you're that person, there's something important, The police need to know right now that you know. If you feel that sending that to me would help, send it to me. I will ensure the police have the information. I will not disclose your identity to the public or the police. I will not do that. If you have important information, credible information, you believe could really, really help with locating Naomi at this time. Naomi Iron of Fernley, Nevada. It is my hope and my prayer that Naomi will be found sooner rather than later. Thank you so very much for taking the time out to watch this live stream. Thank you so very much for sharing this live stream with your family members and your friends across the United States and even outside of the United States of America. Thank you so very much for your support. I'm thanking you in advance. Right now, I'm thanking you for any tip that you plan to send Missing, Lost, and Trafficked. That Missing, Lost, and Trafficked will forward directly to law enforcement in efforts to locate Naomi Iron. Thank you all so much, and I want you to have a great and safe night.